Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you, and great to have you along, and Happy New Year to everybody as well. Today we're joined by boys basketball coach Jacob Birnbaum. And Jacob, hope you had a really good break, and I know you're looking forward to getting continuing the season, but getting 2025 started with basketball this week.
Definitely. I felt like we had a little bit of momentum. We were playing pretty well going into the break, so now it's just trying to shake off some of that rust and coming back and hopefully continuing on the same path that we had kind of got ourselves started on before break.
Yeah, speaking of that, you pick up a win against Stillwater, and we're able to beat them, and always good to win the rivalry games. You go to Muskogee, that's a very athletic and talented team, but you guys fought with them, so there were some good positives heading into Christmas break time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Stillwater was definitely a big time win for us, first district win, so it was really good feeling to get that under our belts. And really, I had plenty of time over break to go back and watch and analyze that Muskogee game. And when, I break it down, we shot the ball better than they did. We rebounded the ball better than they did. We played a really great game with the exception of about 4 to 5 minutes in the middle of the second quarter, where we had, I think, 8 turnovers within those 4 to 5 minutes. We turned the ball over way too much throughout the entire game, but really that little 4 or 5 minute stretch hurt us, because if you looked at the game outside of that, we played right dead even with them, with the exception of those few minutes. So turnovers are something that we spent a lot of time discussing, that we're going to continue to work on, because as a team we have to understand that whenever we shoot the same amount of shots as the other team, we usually end up in a pretty good position. But when we give them 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 more shots than we take, it's tough to claw ourselves out of that hole, no matter how well we're playing.
Yeah, and every team over Christmas break is talking about turnovers. I mean, that's a common thing we talk about in every sport, and it really gets you in all levels, certainly in high school. But the level of some teams, they're talking about 15, 16 a game. When you're talking 21 to 23 a game, I mean, that's 7 possessions you don't have, and a lot of times that's leading to points on the other end. So that's a 14 to 15 point swing at the least.
Exactly, and that's a big thing we've been discussing with our guys, is we just have to have a good shot every time down the floor. Like, it's not so much about forcing it, or we got to score just on this action, or we got to take what the defense gives us every time. And when we do a good job of keeping our heads up, securing the ball, not thinking about what we're going to do with it until after we catch it and have it secured, I feel like we're a pretty decent offensive team. But when we get, tunnel vision and we think we can only throw one pass, or instead of making the easy pass, we're trying to make the $1 million pass, that's when we put ourselves into trouble.
Well, and the one thing with turnovers, too, teams are going to press you. They see you. They know they're going to do that. You want to make them pay for the press, but at the same time, as a coach, you don't want them to speed you up. And, yeah, you want to get the points, but at the same time, you get 2 points, but then you turn the ball over 2 times the next time because they sped you up a little bit. That's part of a good press. They're trying to do that, capitalize on those. You're trying to capitalize on the other end. But is there a balance of saying, hey, let's go, but also saying, hey, we need to make the decision to slow down and not let them speed us up?
There's definitely a balance, A lot of times if they have that pressure higher up and we're able to get the ball by passing it outside of the pressure, we'll end up with plus numbers, on the opposite end. And we always want to take advantage of 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s when we get those opportunities. But when we just put our head down and start going, and we're at a numbers disadvantage sometimes, where we'll have 2 or 3 guys back trying to run into 4 or 5. That's another time where it's like, guys, we got to, slow down, let everyone else work their way down the floor. Nobody likes playing defense. Nobody loves playing defense. So the longer we force them to play defense, the more likely they are to make a mistake and allow us to get a really easy shot as a result.
Yeah, and, you guys, you say you don't like to play defense, but that's probably been one of the things that's been really good with you guys. I think that overall, when you look at this team, we knew there could be some issues scoring. We're going to talk about scores developing coming up. But defensively, when these guys are getting in the half court and they're locked in that half court defense, they're not letting those turnovers turn into points before the defense can get back. They're doing well.
Yeah, and I mean, it just goes into the work that we put in every single day in practice. Like, there's defensive stuff that we're drilling constantly. And it's still, we still feel like there's room for improvement. We feel like on about 80% of our possessions, we're really solid defensively now, but there's still about 20% where we'll have some lapses, and that'll happen.
Yeah.
But we're working. It's just our mindset, and typically when our defense does falter, it's not anything to do with our scheme. It's just the mindset and the focus that our guys have when they're going out there.
Yeah, and we talk about scoring, and we're starting to see scores emerge. And A.J. Landis, we knew would kind of come on. Stillwater, he had those 12 points in the fourth quarter that helped you get that win, including 3 3-point plays in 3 different ways, which was kind of unique as well.
Yep.
Adriel Miller's kind of been consistent with that 10 to 12 range for you. But then we've seen the freshmen get more accustomed to things as we go along. And I figure that's going to continue in the new year with Tay Akers. Those guys have kind of emerged as your scorers.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we expected that to some degree from Adriel and AJ. Those are 2 of our main returning starters from last year that played a lot of minutes. So we're kind of leaning on them for some experience. And Adriel's been pretty consistent. He's been a little bit up and down, but he's been very consistent with the exception of, I want to say, his first 3 games coming back from football. He's just aggressive getting to the rim. And right now he's also our leading assist guy because all of his drives to the basket just open up everything else for everyone. AJ has been solid handling the ball, and like Stillwater, he saw his moment, his opportunity to go step up and make some big plays, so we look for him to continue to do that throughout the year. And like you said, man, Tay is going to be a really good player for a while here at Ponca City, and I think he's just going to continue to keep getting more and more comfortable as the season progresses.
Yeah, and not to mention guys that maybe don't score as much but are important, and we can go through the list, but I'll go through the starters for you. Jackson Dugash has been the absolute hustle guy. He's been a lockdown defender. He's forced and created so many turnovers. Just seems like he's always in the play.
Yeah, he's extremely active on defense, and like you said, it's not always generating into points in the box score form, but he's always doing something positive for us, whether it's guarding one of the better players on the other team, getting rebounds, just always playing out there with energy. So he brings a lot to the table for us for sure.
Yeah, and there's always a couple of knock the rust off after 21 days without playing. This week with you playing Union in the tournament, we'll see a little bit of that. But after this week gets over, then you start setting in on those rotations. You know that team about as well as you can know them, and you really start trying to put everything together to get to the playoffs coming up in February.
Absolutely, and that's what we've been preaching to our guys, all season. It's not about playing as good as we can in November or December or really even January. It's about getting the gears going, planting seeds so that by the time we get to February, we're clicking on all gears and we're playing as well as we can be.
All right. Well, really appreciate it, man. Best of luck this week and on into the season. We'll talk to you again. And like I said, we enjoyed that win over Stillwater, but hoping for a lot more of those coming up.
Yes, sir. Hopefully we have some coming down the road for you.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much.
You.
Appreciate Jacob Birnbaum with us. Thanks to Chris behind the camera. That's going to do it for this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff saying so long. And until next time, go Cats.